All right, let's go ahead and cut to the crap. Let's talk about last night. Going into this election, I heard three major reasons that people thought that Donald J. Trump would lose the presidential election cycle. The first was Roe v. Wade and the ongoing debate over that whole ruling. The second was immigration statuses and whether or not the minority group in America would view that as a pressing problem. And last but not least, concerns over whether or not Donald J. Trump was going to become a Richard Tater. Let's start off with the Roe v. Wade controversy first. With the sending of Roe to the states, most people thought that every woman out there would go crazy and say, oh my God, we've lost a major right. We have to show up in droves and we have to hate this man for this ruling. And I would say that most intelligent people out there recognized the separation between what possible children you might have and caring for your children currently. You see, despite everything that was said in the media, most of us recognize that this economy is not good. We're going and buying groceries, gas, everyday expenses, rent, good luck buying a house. All of these are things that are going to affect any children you currently possess. But most women recognize that when it comes to having children or not having children, they can turn to other venues like contraception and just simply saying, hey man, we got to lay off of this because we just can't afford any more kids. In addition, most intelligent females recognize that while you might not have this federal protection at the Supreme Court level, most states are passing pro-choice legislation as they go along. When Kansas passes it, that's a sign of the time. So it might take them 20 years or so, but they know they have a route to get that back. That kind of puts it to, well, I can still work towards this thing in the future, but I got to worry about feeding the kids I currently possess, and under this economy, I can't. Let's talk about the border and the immigration policy. Most people thought that every single Hispanic individual out there would be against Trump for wanting to enforce border policy because they wanted their cousin and their nephew and their mother and whatever to come all across. No, we need that border to stay open, man. You can't stop us from coming. It's not what happened because most people don't realize that that border's been open for 20, 30 years now, and we're into the second and third generation of those original migrants coming on in ever since the 1980s. And while their parents might hold those sensibilities, these individuals are now full-fledged Americans. They have their own businesses, their own lives, and their own politics. They identify much more as Albuquerque, LA, downtown Tucson, New York, than they do with Guadalajara or Mexico City. So while they might be very, very content and happy and proud of their ancestral heritage, when that continued influx of immigration continues to go on and more money is being shelled out for care and more expenses are going up and more competition on the business level is going on, and you're a part of the fabric of that American society, it's undoubtedly going to shift their loyalties, and in the end, they're going to vote their own self-interest. And last but not least, this whole Richard Tater felon angle, I would argue that it was the biggest factor that actually helped Donald Trump. One thing that Americans do not like, it is liars. Now, I recognize there's a group of people that are going to walk forward and say, Donald lies about every single... Okay, there's a difference between running for office and making puffery claims and going outside the box and an outright lie. And if you want an example of outright lies, there is no better target that I can give you than the U.S. media and the populace that has no humor whatsoever, does not recognize a joke, and will twist that around, trying to make a political talking item out of it, and not recognizing that by doing so, you're kind of shafting your own side. I mean, most people with a sense of humor recognize that Trump was using this really antiquated, very, very fringe concept called sarcasm. He was making a joke, trying to say, look, they put me through so much, I might get one day of being a dictator just to get even, and then I'll go on about other things. Most people recognized it was a joke. But most of the brain dead left, most of the media just looking for anything they can do to pile on this guy to try and stop it, they use it as a political talking line. In the end, most people saw it was a really bad liar. The thing about a really bad liar is the more and more they talk, the more and more you know they're full of crap. And last, but certainly not least, I will give you an honorable mention as a fourth angle, the whole lawfare situation, which still is ongoing, and they're going to try and keep Donald Trump from assuming his position using the law. Most individuals need to study our history if you think this was going to work. Look at our American Revolution, when a group of peasants and farmers went up against the legal system to establish a new country. Go and watch the war we fought in the Civil War, where two people with diametrically opposed views of the country went against each other and were rated outlaws on both sides until one of them finally won. Go study our Wild West history, where you had desperados that were beloved by the people for their ability to kick ass, take names to avoid the law. Go study Bonnie and Clyde, a story of a couple of bank robbers that's been romanticized until it's got its own particular milieu and attraction. Americans love outlaws, and you just handed Donald J. Trump a desperado hat, a six-shooter, and a wanted poster. And you think that he wouldn't get love from an entire country built on bucking the system. And so here we are. Donald J. Trump with his desperado hat, walking into a saloon, sidling up to the bar, and taking a nice long shot of liberal tears. MAGA, congratulations on your win. Liberals, time to go back to the drawing board and recognize that your policies and your worldviews are not getting over. And I hope each and every one of us has a great week and enjoys this beautiful moment in history. I'll talk to you next time when we talk about another thing that I find interesting. I'm out.